This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of
the interview with Jeannine,
sanctioned by the
co-leader of the problematic philosophies.
Weapons of Class 4 and lower have been authorized for use during the
Doingfest.
All other weapons are restricted.
If you don't like problematic profanity,
What is this?
What's your profanity?
Right, I'm sorry.
Crude Humor,
and Silly Satire.
This is very, very bad. Excuse me.
Then you will not be
pursued.
Hunted?
Granted immunity.
Oh, okay.
And shall not be harmed.
Interesting. Just kidding, you will be hunted.
You will be destroyed.
absolutely destroyed.
Dead. Demolished.
Ha ha.
Ha ha ha. LOL.
Commencing at the siren, any and all crime, including murder,
Nice.
will be legal for 12 continuous hours.
Oh, hell yeah.
Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be unavailable until tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. when
The interview finally ends. Thank God.
Hell yeah, brother, mother, sister, daddy. Fuck yeah, baby.
Blessed be our new founding fathers and America, a nation reborn. May God be with you all.
Alright, let's fucking go.
Open the bunker.
Please open the bunker. Open the bunker.
Open. Here we go, baby.
I'm gonna open up this bunker. Remember that old intro? Literally the second guest I've ever had.
Oh.
And yeah. That was like the weirdest intro. Anyways, yeah. I'll show you the video for it. It's all weird. It's all weird up, baby. But you know how it is. Oh my god. Yeah, it's like. Oh my god, it's the Doing Fest. It's already started with Jeannine. Oh my goodness. I didn't think I was gonna find you again. You know, like I thought I was never gonna ever see you or hear your voice again, but it's so amazing, so great to hear you.
You know, the world
barely talking.
Yeah, the world is falling apart, but we can still all find each other.
Honestly, that's the most wholesome thing ever. Even though it could be a little like it could be a little like strange, almost like threatening. Like, hey, we can always find each other. Watch yourself, fucker. Just don't fuck with me.
I know where you live.
God. Oh my god, oh yeah, you literally know where the bunker is. Oh man. Oh yeah, this is a not safe for work podcast, so all the live listeners out there, yawn for a fucking hoot and holler, baby. We're out here.
This is a sailors club.
Sailors Club? Hey, right. You're not wrong. Oh my goodness. Well, I already know who you are, but for our first time listeners, would you like to introduce your most problematic, in the most problematic sense, who or what? I'm not sure who you evolved into, but what are you? Who are you?
I am Jeannine, bachelor's degree, and an overall baddie.
Ooh, we got a baddie over here. What the fuck? Who knew? Not I. Man, we got a bachelor degree. Oh, that's like a, so what is that? A scholarly baddie.
A scholarly baddie.
Yeah, that's what it is. A scholarly baddie. Oh my goodness. Okay, so like, I know we talked last time about relationships and polyamory. This is a different dynamic of relationships because this is a relationship with, como se dice? I think it's called money, baby. Oh my God, we love it. We hate it. Capitalism, boys. What are you gonna do? But the main thing is like it always leads us to come together about like all these conversations through Twitter, like literally through like a fucking tweet, and we're just like, yeah, that's fucked up. Like, why don't we just do this? And then you're always like, yeah, or I'm always like, yeah, and like who like oh, it's never gonna fix. It's never gonna fix itself.
I am wild on Twitter. I will say that. Like some people always tell me, like even outside of Twitter, like Jeannine, oh my God, you're so funny, or like you
so funny. Yeah,
I was like, you just speak out your mind, and I'm like, yeah, I do. Because
yeah, speak out your mind. I speak on my ass. Damn, what are you gonna do there? Hey, baby.
Well, you know, I think Twitter is actually like a platform where it's like all of our diaries, right? Like I feel like it's like journaling, but like I want the world to see that I'm angry about this. And I think also the crazy year we've had, like, when we first talked back in our last podcast, it was early, like May, June, around there. Like we were in a pandemic that we thought we were only going to be in for a couple months.
Literally, I was like, oh, yo, just kidding. Here's some crumbs for you, pennies from the government.
Basically,
that was what's up. Oh my God, sorry. I was just like going to talk bullshit about the pandemic.
Yeah, I'm like, where my stimmy at though?
Honestly, every time someone says that, I'm like, Stimmy, Stizzy? Which one is it? I don't fucking know. Guys, one of those. The amount of money I think about they're making, like speaking of like congressmen, speaking of like politicians and everything, like the extreme gap of class wages is bonkers. Like I literally cannot fathom how much $1 million is anymore. Ever since I watched this video, I'm like, how much $1 billion is? And it was like comparing like $1 billion, like literal like stacks of hundreds. It was like thousands of like school buses full of that. And I'm like, oh shit, that's $1 billion. I'm like, well, there's multi-billionaires. And then I'm like, well, the literal government spends billions of dollars, like trillions of dollars on military costs, on, let me get my little finger out, my bad. Military cost. They got fucking raids. They got, I don't know, dude. Just like, okay, anyways, all right, enough of my rumble. We were brought together because we're discussing the wage gap, but on this very important and special month, which is Women's History Month, or Women's Appreciation Month, or Women's Month, or women identifiers. Identifiers? What the fuck? Like, I identify? Oh my God, I identify a woman near me. Like, that's horrible. That's disgusting. Oh my God. What did I say to that? Don't do that. Don't identify women out there. Please don't fucking do it. Well, it's problematic philosophies, whatever. We're talking about like the wage gap, but most specifically regarding the wage gap between men and women, and how it's literally the reason why it's not talked about is probably because it's so taboo to us. And like, I just wanted to ask you a few questions about that taboo tomfoolery. There it is. That's the word, right? Tomfoolery. Yeah. My first question. Jeannine,
what is it? I'm ready. Give it to me. What is it?
All right. Speaking of money, what's your social security? Okay. So when we talk about wage gaps. Oh my God, you can't just give out your username like that. Incorrect. I don't think so. All right. So, that's not the right one. All right. So when was the first time found out about the wage gap?
Yeah, I want to say college, to be honest, was the first time that I think I had always like heard about it or known about it, but it wasn't until I got to college, and I think it was my sociology class where it was first discussed to me and introduced to me as like, this is what's going on, and that's where I truly got first educated on it. And just like navigating through college, my senior year, I remember seeing like a Harvard study on how much everybody else makes compared to a white man per dollar. So the white man makes $1, and then it breaks down women and men under that and how much they make by ethnicity and race as well. So we even get into deeper, like, get very
like investigative or how so?
Yeah, like very like, intersectionality, I guess that would be the word. Like, we see first like, okay, the white man makes $1. Right under him is the Asian man, I think makes like a little bit under $1. And then I remember seeing that under that was white women, then Asian women, and then it was Black men, then Latino men. It was Black women, Native men, Native women. Yeah. And then I saw Latina women at the bottom.
Dude, literally at the bottom, and like, dude, going back to the extreme wage gaps between BIPOC and Latina women in just America too. Like I remember regarding that study. Yeah. The first time I knew about that, I was like, because I'm ignorant, problematic as fuck. I found out about that just last year because I am a fucking Nino. I am incorrect. And I was looking into that, and regarding that was only a study done in America. I was like, oh, BIPOC, right? Like, oh, they're indigenous, lands, and, like in America. Come to figure, those indigenous folks living on those reservations, living on their land, they get, the wage gap is just extreme poverty and extreme wealth. That's literally it. There's no middle class there, and their wage gap is almost like a few dollars, where it's a few cents here, which is not saying that comparison's okay, and that's in any way a way to like kind of like brush off our problems, but I'm just saying like that's how bad the wage gap has gotten without the conversation behind it. It's fucking bonkers, bro.
Oh, absolutely.
Tell me about why. Why is it bonkers? Who did this?
It's ridiculous because that study that it was conducted, I think, by Harvard, the women group there or something like that, or it was an organization.
Incorrect. That was definitely not it. No.
No.
No, okay, no, you're definitely.
I was like, did I do something wrong?
No, I just wanted to press the button. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I bet it's very tempting to want to press that button that makes that noise.
Bro, there's so many buttons down here. Like, I don't even know which one I'm going to press next. Like, yo, that's the end of the podcast. Who knows what's going to happen next? Just kidding. All right.
That sounds so much fun. I need to get myself some buttons, to be honest.
Oh, honestly, I'll send you like, dude, this is, oh no, I'll tell you.
They're moods for sure. But yeah, that was the first time. And I remember this was, my senior year, and just realizing like, wow, when it broke it down by, race, ethnicity, and gender, I realized right off the bat, and that study was done a couple years ago, so it could be different now, just disclaimer out there. But it really opened my eyes, like, wow, like as a woman, specifically as a Latina woman in the US, I am disproportionately making less than the dollar a white man makes. Like, I think it broke down the cents too. I think Latino women were making like 64 cents to the dollar of a white man. And I'm like, wow, like this fucking sucks, like it's just a realization that you make. And I think it kind of gave me a little chip on my shoulder though, because after that, I have been very cognizant about, being transparent with my wage with friends and other fellow women friends. And then just, I think being vocal about it. Like I have always pushed people to negotiate, especially if you're one of, the ones disproportionately being paid. You definitely have to negotiate, and that's the thing. Like nobody teaches you. Also, there's that other conversation. Nobody taught me how to negotiate. It's something that I've had to acquire through my career, through talking to different mentors. But, I'm a first gen in this country. So, I think it makes perfect sense as to why there's certain things that I've had to navigate and learn on my own. My parents immigrated here just like a lot of people, and you learn as you go. And, your parents try your best to teach you what they can, but you have to remember they came into this country not knowing anything and leaving everything they knew behind, So I'm like, absolutely. We have to figure some stuff on our own, but I think that's what makes us resilient.
It does.
But I will say that some people are at a disadvantage. And I just want to talk about also how in the workplace, another topic I think we had brought up was the fact that you're not really allowed to talk about salaries. Like no one's really transparent with that. And the way it's been presented to me was because it would take away opportunities for people if everybody knew each other's salaries.
Okay. It's like in a way, it's like kind of a challenging, not just the dynamic between the employer, the managers and everything. Do you think it challenges each other in an unhealthy way? Like it kind of like sets people against each other in some way in the workplace, or it adds more tension? How was that kind of approach, or how do you think that kind of like changes in the workplace? It
depends also what industry you're in. Certain industries, you're able to hop around easier. Therefore, you can make more money quicker, I guess, if that makes sense. Let's say, for example, my next employer does not know what I'm making right now. So I can, when negotiating, I can ask for more. And they don't know what I'm making right now. But I think in a workplace specifically, if everybody knew each other's salaries, it could create some tension because you'll easily and quickly find out that a lot of people are underpaid, for sure. To be more specific, you'll start realizing that it's a certain group of people that are underpaid that might very much mirror what we saw in that Harvard study.
The normality of talking about wages and money is already not a thing. At work, especially, like you said, like how it seems inappropriate in a lot of ways, and it's seen as kind of confrontational in a lot of other ways. You mentioned when we don't have those conversations, people don't understand wage gap is a thing. Or referencing off of how you said you were first generation, which is super cool. It's super empowering to know that we have gone so far in such a little amount of time. But not just that, it's like the time that we are living in right now, like our generation or first and second, third generation Latin folks, there's advancement of technology. There's like the space age. There's like so many things that have happened within the past century that might have not have pushed us to get to this point before. Unfortunately, there's a lot of like waybacks, like capitalism, like toxic capitalism, like wars, class division, and literal like races, like literal prejudice and racism within our own communities. Aside from all that, there's still a lack of information and general ignorance. I'm so sorry. There's most of these things are visual things that you can say. I'm so sorry. On top of being disenfranchised, on top of being like just left out of the conversation, a lot of that information is, like you said, it's like inaccessible to these people, to our parents, to people that are not native speakers, to people that aren't even Spanish speakers. in the most respectful way, ignorant as in they're illiterate. They don't have a third grade education. Some people, they're still extremely smart, extremely well-rounded. Yet it's just like the formality of education is so new to them or so abstract to them that they're not going to know about like taxes. They're not going to know about wages or finances just because it's a little different where they came from, or they just haven't been introduced to that in any way. And that's the thing. It's like when we don't talk about these wage gaps, if we don't talk about our salaries and just make it a normal conversation, it's like, oh yeah, like not like trying to like throw it around like, oh yeah, I make like $300,000. Like, no, dude, just like, oh, I like drive a Tesla. No, fuck that, dude. Incorrect. We don't even talk about doing raises for after the performance reviews. When someone just puts that around, I'm like, oh, I'm going to consider asking for a raise. If they say no, maybe it's too soon. I'll just ask them why. And if they say, yeah, cool, I'm going to get a raise, you know, and then like find out what the raise is. How would you introduce that kind of the whole concept to someone that might be from a disenfranchised area, might be from somewhere they're not a financially literate or well-known or well-spoken with regarding investment, savings, wages, tax, all that stuff? How would you kind of introduce that into a way of not belittling them, not making them seem ignorant as they may be, but in a way of like just helping them out and helping them understand this gap and even showing them that there's
absolutely
a gap.
I think you touched on very important points. I think to begin with, there has to be the acknowledgement that not everyone has a fair and equal access to this information to begin with. I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the lack of resources. You know, like you don't know what you don't know. And unfortunately, you put certain groups at a disadvantage because of that. I think the way to approach this is to start with education. Social media is a very powerful tool to do this. And it makes me so happy to see like how many people have engaged in sharing knowledge across social media. A lot of people, not one, become informed about it, but become empowered. Like I feel very happy and empowered myself when I have somebody respond to me, maybe something that I posted that they didn't have information about previously. They're like, thank you so much. I didn't know about this. And I'm like, this is very important. You know, I want to share as many things as I can with different people, because especially with people that are already at a disadvantage. So I think the first step to answer your question is first to acknowledge it's a problem. Not enough people are talking about it, therefore it's not acknowledged as a problem. And you're right when you say people think it's very confrontational to talk about salaries. And you know what? I'm very respectful. Like everyone is entitled, you know, to share their salary or not. But I think me personally, because of my background and because I know it's an issue, I almost feel like a duty of mine that moving forward. And as I climb up the corporate ladder, yay.
Oh, yo, capitalism, baby. We're going up, baby. You know what that
it's
means.
It's my duty to kind of form people and empower people to do this. And I do hope that eventually employers get to a place where they welcome these conversations from people who feel comfortable having them, right? But I think that it's not in the best interest, of course, of the employer for everyone to know what everyone's making, because that way certain people can get paid less to basically do the same thing. But I also understand that there's a lot of factors to it, right? Certain people get paid more because they have more experience and different skill sets. So it's a mixture of things. But I do think that it's important for especially women and minorities to speak about these things. The second thing I want to touch upon is negotiation and negotiation skills. I was never taught them. There's no book really that can teach you them. I've read a book about it, but I think it's all in the practice of it. And just like talking to my male counterparts, like in college and stuff, they felt very empowered to negotiate and ask for more because I deserve it, because I'm, you know, this and that. And that really inspired me to become that way, because I'm like, why are they, you know, we have the same degree, we have the same skill sets, you know, like why?
Bro, that's like bullshit right there. Like when you have the same degree,
like I was like, what are you doing? Y'all feel very, you know, empowered to do this, but I almost feel bad asking for more. But I think you have to get out of that state of mind because it's been ingrained in us. And I want to say particularly in women, I see this more in women where they shy away from asking for more because they don't want to come across as difficult.
I've never heard of a difficult woman. No, I don't. This is probably my philosophy is I'm going to only say the worst.
You know what?
Things that
I'm
men
very
would say,
glad that you see it that way. You have never encountered a difficult woman. And let me tell you.
No, you just got to get patience. Yeah.
As long as you keep thinking that way, you never will.
Oh, yeah. You are invited to the row right by the vegan tacos and the banda in my wedding.
I'm there. You know I'm there.
You already know where you're sitting. Yeah. I already know. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, that was the wrong sound, but dude, you're so right with like everything, like literally everything with the conversations that you need to have, like the way you need to have those conversations with not just the gendered system of like men and women, going down the dichotomy of like how many people it affects in the workplace. I'm actually like not sure what the literal, like the exact law is, but it's like the California law. Oh my God, something about employment, like equal employment, where it's not just the disabled folks, but it's people of every ethnicity and gender. It's kind of like back and forth with me, right? So I have this take of it being, here's my thing. So when we have to put equality in the workplace, what the fuck is equality? Okay, so if we define what equality is, I'm like, all right, cool. So like just get the numbers and stats right. All right, cool, easy. Yes, quality only goes so far. So here's what I've been looking into more: equity. So more about equity, like what have they accomplished? Yes, you have the same degree. It doesn't matter if you're like fucking non-binary or a man or a woman. Yet I know that you, Jeannine, are going to do a better job because you've had more experience and you have a specific set of skills that would benefit this project or company or whatever it may be than this other person not looking at their gender or anything regarding like ethnicity or anything like that. Yet that does in another way. Here's the problematic part of it also affecting people in when they get to that field, because it's like those stereotypes, those stigmas that surround that person. Like, hey, maybe they didn't expect them to be this race or ethnicity or gender when they're working with other people, and it could come to conflict. How do you kind of approach like the equity to equality in the workplace? Like when you're having that conversation, but beyond like the gendered men and women, non-binary folk getting equal pay, where's the equity that should come out of this gap? Like that should be resolving this gap.
Absolutely. So when you bring up equity and equality, I think about that infographic where it's like there's a wall, right? And there's like the super tall guy that's almost reaching over the wall. And then there's like...
That's my favorite one.
Yes, that perfectly sums it up. Folks back home, I know you guys probably know what I'm talking about, but there's an infographic.
No. Explain it. Explain it anyways. You gotta explain it. They're ignorant, but they don't know anything. See ya. You're listening to this podcast because only Jeannine knows the answer, baby.
Yeah, okay. So...
You bet it. You bet.
So basically there's this infographic out there, and the best way to illustrate what equity is versus equality is there's this infographic, there's this tall guy who can almost see over the wall. Then there's this guy in the middle who needs a little push to see over the wall. And then there's like this smaller guy who can't even see over the wall whatsoever, even if he jumps.
Yo, fool's a shorty. Fool's a straight short. He-town shorty out there.
He's a shorty.
He's a shorty. Yo, would you pass him the blunt or not? I would. He's trying to make it over the fence. He's trying to.
So basically what equality shows is everybody gets 2 stacks of blocks to be able to be taller and reach the wall. But if you look at that, it's like, yeah, you give everybody the equal amount of blocks, but the shoddy is not going to even be able to reach the tip of the wall, even with the 2 blocks. The guy in the middle might be a little bit, can peek over, and then definitely the taller guy can definitely see over the wall. Equity, you give each individual what they need to see over the wall. So the shoddy gets like 5 stacks or 6, the middle guy gets like 3 or 4, and then the tall guy stays with his 2 because 2 blocks were enough for him to see over the wall. That's kind of how I illustrate equality versus equity. And I agree with you, Paul. I think
that was great. That was beautiful. That was the best explanation there is. No, it's actually really well done, because I would have just fucking fumbled on that. I would have just been, oh my God. That would have been,
I tried my best. I really did.
Your best is barely enough. See ya. You're never coming on this podcast again. Damn.
Yeah, I hope so.
No, that was one of the best examples of explaining to me understanding equity versus equality.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like where I started phasing out that terminology and that phrase and everything behind equality. And that's why I'm so interested in talking to you about like how to get to equity.
Yes.
And not just the standards of what we should get paid and knowing our self-worth, but like further broadening the subject of ultimately equity in society, culture.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I think equity, the way I describe it besides that illustration, is giving each particular group or individual the tools that they need to succeed, not necessarily everything the same across. Because I think there's this idea, even when like we bring up feminism, men will say, or like, women like, oh, like women just want to be equal to men. While yes, that's true, we want to be kind of acknowledged for in the same way men are for certain opportunities and industries. I also think that equity should play a part into that, because our needs as women and different women of color and such on are very different from the needs of men. And those needs also need to be acknowledged in order for us to be what we would say equal, right?
It does get like lost in the conversation a lot, especially with the inclusiveness of it. And I definitely understand, like, when I was getting into the third wave of feminism, third wave. What the fuck? Who allowed me to have a podcast? Who the fuck did this? When I was introduced to third wave, I'm ending the podcast right now. See ya. I can't speak. So let me just start over. When I learned and was educated with third wave feminism ideology. There it is. I did it. Oh my God.
You did it. Yay.
I'm just an ignorant man. You know this. All right. It didn't really put any barriers to equality, and that was the only like downside of learning about it without those barriers of understanding like who is more disenfranchised, who is more just kind of like societally and just within their culture, within their subculture or subcommunity. I don't even know what I'm saying, but like kind of like distinguish types of oh my God, can you please help me with these types of, it's like the types of, oh my God, not discrimination, not prejudice. Dude, this is your podcast episode. You gotta save me, please.
Yes. I think what you're trying to articulate here is that sometimes what that move of feminism didn't account for was the different, like it wasn't inclusive of all women. Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say. And good thing I just said that so well, because if it weren't for me, I think your episode would just be horrible. Like it wouldn't work. Yeah. You know? Good thing I'm here to You are here to save the day and all.
Of course. Like all men are.
Oh,
you know,
gosh, gotta love it.
Oh my God. Don't you love it? Don't you love when men take credit for your work?
Mansplaining, don't even get me fucking started on that shit.
I can't even do the splits. Why would I splain? Oh my God, Jeannine, like learning about third wave feminism compared to intersectionality and intersectional feminism and the inclusiveness of including and being aware and acknowledging the struggles of those people, of BIPOC, of women of color, of indigenous folks, specifically in different regions and different tribes.
Absolutely.
Like in Canada, it was, oh my God, it is of course, like education is an ongoing journey, but this one was eye-opening to say the least. It was so revealing of what I didn't know and what so many people potentially don't know, what we're oblivious of knowing about, and also what society and culture and literally men and white supremacy are keeping us ignorant of. Because it is there. It is so apparent. Once you know about it, you cannot unsee it. Once you know about these gaps, once you know about these inequities, you cannot unsee what is happening. And it's almost like a sense of guilt to not do anything and to not have the conversation.
Oh, yes.
How do you kind of like, it's like the fourth time I asked you, like, how do you introduce this conversation? When do you introduce this conversation? And when do you think it's appropriate to kind of get to that point?
When do I introduce this conversation? During a date? The first damn date, I'll tell you that.
A date? Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, like your financial health. Oh, you're trying to
tell you what credit score you have, because if it ain't above 700, we ain't gonna work.
Yo, honey, if you ain't above a 7, I mean, like, okay, like give it regarding the pandemic and all right. So we got a few things here. Hold on. So we have a few things that might hinder us from having that sweet score of 700. Pandemic. We got inconsistent employment. We got overspending. We got other side honeys. We got, anyways. We got so much stuff that's hindering us. Like, honestly, I get that. Whoops.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you ask me, when would I introduce this conversation, do you mean it like in a friend setting, on a date, or just in general? Let's
bop our way to the top, baby. Let's start from within yourself. Let's do some introspective.
Ooh, I love that.
Anyways,
okay.
When do you have this honest conversation about self-worth with yourself? As in, hey, like, is this the wage I should be getting for where I am, having my degree, having my experience and set assets of skills, of knowledge, of everything I've experienced? When do you have that honest conversation with yourself? Yeah,
I think it's been always ongoing. I think earlier on in my career, less so, because I just needed a job, like everybody else. I'm just like, I got all this school debt and I want to get into a job that, it's going to, I was just eager to learn.
Dump truck ass of debt.
Yeah. I was just eager to learn. I'm like, sign me up, whatever. But now that I think I'm a little bit more mature in my career, and I'm still fairly new, but I'm growing and not, and like talking to different people, I will say I'm very blessed to be surrounded by colleagues and friends who are very transparent with me. And that includes like men as well, you know?
Don't say, dude, whenever you say that word, oh my God. Whenever you say, you gotta,
the disappointments, how about that?
Oh, dude, that sounds like almost like the situation.
The situation. No, you want to know something funny? The reason I got that from was somebody, a friend I have on Instagram once posted, have a good day, women and disappointments. And I died. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to start using that. So,
bro,
Jerry,
that's so good.
Jerry, if you're listening to this, shout out to you.
Yo, shout out to you. Sucks that you died in the pandemic and the nuclear war outside the bunker, baby. Oh God, it's okay. It happens.
Yeah, it's okay. It happens. But I think I started having these conversations as I started talking to different colleagues and friends around me, and they started being very honest with me and transparent. Like, Jeannine, you have this certain skill set. Yeah, you should be wanting to get paid more, etc. Whatever. And I also, I think, have to have an honest conversation. When we talk about intersectionality, it's very important to also, while yes, I've struggled and, I face my own struggles due to, my gender and being a first gen, etc. I also have to acknowledge my advantages. I think those are just strong and honest conversations we need to have with ourselves every single day. Like, I don't think you cannot be oblivious, because to an extent I have privilege and I acknowledge that, although I'm not a white woman, I am fair skinned.
Like white, yeah.
I am like, I wouldn't consider myself a Caucasian woman, but I am white passing, whatever.
Yeah.
I acknowledge that, I was born in this country and therefore I have privileges that others don't. I was able to get an education in this country and therefore I also have privileges, and I think it's important to have those honest conversations with yourself, because you start realizing that because you have those advantages, inevitably there's people that have disadvantages.
Oh yeah, beyond your situation.
Yes.
It's good that you're aware of that. You're cognizant of it. Connotations, kind of cuck. It's almost like our responsibility to understand to understand the tiers and like this fear of our influence, whether that's financially, socially, and everything. And it's even better so that you're aware of your impact as a white passing person, as in like the privileges that you're awarded in society, in the conversation about gap and wages, and how you could kind of use that responsibility and to take accountability for what has happened in the past and take accountability for what's happening currently with that gap between you and the people that are working with you alongside you, that should be in an equitable position just as yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's a really good sense of responsibility to continue projecting that in the workplace, especially, and in through education, especially, because that's where people are kind of grow into helping people that aren't fortunate, as privileged or in privilege, or even in fortunate circumstances as. And that's kind of like, I know it's a hard segue. I pressed the wrong button again. There it is. It's a hard segue into the next interest of mine, because this is my show, actually. Oh no, it's your show.
No, it's yours. We'll share it just for this time.
As a treat, just this once. Thank you. Here's the question. Yeah. Let me get ready with my question. Can you hear that? Is that good? Sound level?
Yeah, I can hear it. It's coming a little in and out, but I can hear it.
How about that? Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I was just playing the sound. My bad. I'm annoying.
I was like, no, that's good. I like it.
All right, I keep on going back to trying to invite this into the workplace. And then once you know your self-worth, once you know what you have accomplished, where you're at, go into conversation about privilege, about taking accountability, about your privilege, where you're at societally, from your skin tone, from your education, from your background, all that stuff. So now we're going to the next step of when we invite that conversation, or when do we invite that conversation with our friend group? So people that we're more familiar with, but not as transparent with. Mm-hmm. No, I'm sorry. Wait. Let's do coworkers. Fuck those people. Fuck them. Let's do coworkers next, because we're not.
Whatever.
Yeah, we're friends with them sometimes, but there's these coworkers that are like, all right, dude, you would not like. Damn, I had those coworkers that I'm like, I would not go to the bar with you after work. And then there's these other people that I'm like, yo, dude, I want to get plastered with this dude, but I hate working with them. I hate it so, like, all my anyways. So with that conversation with one of the most important people are your coworkers, because you're working with with them. Really briefly, since we already touched about it, like, in the beginning of the episode, whenever that was, because I literally just forgot the last 2 minutes of my life. When we talked about it earlier, let's kind of introduce that to coworkers, and then we'll go from coworkers to friendships.
I think that it's all dependent, right? Kind of what environment you're in, and also realizing like who the people are around you. I've been very fortunate in general that just in all the jobs I've had coworkers who are very open-minded and very open to these types of conversations. If I'm being honest, like even my, outside of my full-time roles, I've been able to have conversations like this. It does get sticky because, you never know how someone's going to react. But what I say is I would never want to be in an environment where these conversations are like prohibited.
It's more exploitive. It gets so exploitive at that point where it's like the management wise, just anything, like anyone to silence you in any way regarding that, or like unionizing because
I second that motion.
Yeah, hell yeah. Can we get a ding with that? Let's get some crazy frog up in here. Baby, if you ain't communist by 2022, you're doing that shit wrong. If we stay in that workplace knowing they don't want us to talk about it, they don't want us to congregate, to talk about them, management, like styles of getting a better system of working, or even just bettering the corporation or company or project or anything, it just shows that it's manipulation. It just shows that it is a timeline, a pipeline rather, to literal cycles of devoting your time, devoting your life, and then just being thrown away and tossed aside because everyone is so disposable to corporations and to companies. And unfortunately, even creative working projects where people are like, you know what, someone else could just copy this and do it better. An AI, Siri, fucking Skynet could fucking write a poem, I guess now. So it's gone to that point where it's like, how disposable are people, and what is company loyalty when you're talking to fucking your colleagues, when you're talking to friends about like wages and stuff, you're like, it doesn't, like, not to be like a downer, but like it doesn't fucking matter at the end of the day, where it's like, are we doing this to edify ourselves with money, or are we doing this because we believe in the company we work with? Like, regarding like space exploration, for example, because I know you fucking love space.
I know.
What's wrong with Earth? What's wrong with Earth? Why don't you want to stay on Earth, buddy?
Because there's men here, that's why.
Bro, oh my God, you know what I said? Say that out here. Oh my God.
Yes.
Yeah.
What about it?
Yeah, dude. Men go to Jupiter to get more boopider.
Stupider.
That's crossing my line.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's my line. I don't know about your line. Your line's like, oh, gotta get the Coke. But like, it's already taboo because of that, like because of like unionizing, and like they think like people are gonna be like, oh my God, they're like going against us, like they're going to fucking I don't know, riot in a Kmart or some shit. I don't know. like it gets to it gets to the point where like every single management team has that mindset or mentality of, if people are talking about them, whether it be constructive or not, whether it be about equity in the workplace or wage gaps or anything like that, it's going to lead to like a revolution, which it fucking should. Like everything should get better and should grow, which leads to the next one. The next group of people I guess we're going to talk about.
I don't take no shit from anyone.
Did we talk about friends? Friends! What do you do? Yeah. What do you mention this to friends? When do you talk about money with friends?
Oh my God. I think I've been talking about money with my friends. I'm very open with my friends. Like, I am very transparent. Yeah. If a friend was to ask me how much you make, I would straight up tell them. Especially if they're in the same line of work that I am, I'm like, look, this is what you should expect. If you get anything less, then we got a problem here, type of thing, because for me, my loyalty lies with the people. I'm not attached to organization or corporation, period.
Yeah, fuck company loyalty. Yeah! Dude, this last year, really quick, this last year has really shown me that there's no such thing as company loyalty. The companies can give a lesser of two shits about us.
Oh, yeah.
About workers, at least. Not us, like you and me. Mm-hmm. We're the only people that are alive, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
but like,
I'm pretty sure. We made it this far.
Like before we were growing like limbs out of our asses and shit, we meant like nothing. We're so disposable. Just a number, just a statistic.
Oh, yes.
In some ways it's fine, but
I always, I have this mindset, like I'm replaceable. Anybody's replaceable. So I then flip this question when somebody feels bad about asking for more or maybe taking a new opportunity that's better for them. You're replaceable. So why, if you have an option, can you also choose? Right?
Right. Yeah.
That's the way I see it. And I always encourage my friends, like, find better opportunities. You know, I'm the type of friend that'll send you a LinkedIn post that I feel like these jobs might fit you, you know, like
fuck yeah, we're growing here.
Yeah, we're growing. And I, you know, respect all my friends, and I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by such creative and talented individuals overall. And I just want the best for them. So I will, yes, absolutely always bring that up to my friends. Like, ask for more, you know, ask for, you're worth it, you know, just have that mentality. And, you know, some friends have told me, like, you know, thank you for doing that, because it pushes me to feel like, you know, you're right, I do deserve more, type of thing. And, you know, it's like you said, we're all replaceable. It's such a big world, yes, yet so little, but like, we're only here at the end of the day. And I don't mean to be like a Debbie Downer or anything. This is all in good heart. Like, we're here so briefly. Why are you not going to take the opportunity that's going to make you the happiest? Right?
Right. Absolutely.
And if that means more money, then more money. Get the opportunity that brings you more money. So I guess that's how I would go about navigating those conversations. I think when you really care about somebody, and I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by even people that I've worked with that care about me enough to give me the rundown of the reality and mentor me through certain steps in my life that I would have not really been able to navigate on my own. I would maybe stumble a bit, you know?
Oh, stumble. What's up for that?
Stumble.
Oh, absolutely. Stumble. Just quirky things. Yeah. Stumbling. I absolutely agree. It's like, I admire that transparency and that genuine interest and passion for your friends, like interest in what they're doing. So much interest that you would go out of your way to send them like LinkedIn, like, you know, leads and stuff. That is literal support. You know, people are like, yo, support your homies, man. Like, yo, it's fucking, yeah. Give them a piece of za, like support them and say, good job, bro. But like, dude, what if they're not doing a good job? Check that. Like, check that out. Like, if they're not doing a good job in like their job search, in their aspirations, if they're not comfortable in their environment of work, dude, why wouldn't you help them out and support them in some way, like what you're doing? Like, you know, send them leads to something else, something they're more qualified for, just would edify them financially, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever. You know?
Yeah. Me and the homies, we all successful.
Yeah. If I suck, you suck. Successful, dog. Let's get that fucking, sorry, dude. It takes me so long to like press the buttons. Like,
no, you're good.
Baby. Snoop Dogg. Snoop Lion's dead. Rest in peace, dog.
Damn, that's how made me miss partying at the club.
Oh my god, Jeannine. Oh my god, what is the first club we're gonna go to? Is it fucking salsa night, or is it where is it? Where's it gonna be?
I'm ready to do salsa night. I'm ready to do twerk it out. I'm ready for it all. You know,
let's hit these dump truck asses. No,
I'll hit downtown Fullerton. Fuck, who knows? Like,
damn.
You know?
Oh my god, that's just like, I'm ready, dude. If I go there, I'm gonna fight.
I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight.
Oh, we're fighting. Okay, all right. Never mind. Change your mood. We're fighting. We're fighting.
All this talk we're having and just thinking about the injustices. I'm just like, man, I'm ready to fight someone. Like,
bro, yeah. I'm like, yo, I saw you post that black square and nothing else, and delete your Instagram. I'm gonna kick your ass. I'm coming for you. Like fucking, what's his name? I don't know.
Gloves are off. Listen, you son of a bitch. Piece of shit.
Anyway. Oh god.
You've got a big storm
So we go
coming.
okay, real quick. Let's go to the next tier.
Yes.
We'll go between familial relationships and friendships. What's that? Friends with benefits. When do you know? Okay. With a significant other, someone you're dating, like you said, like, hey, that's an honest conversation actually that Cassie, if you're listening to this still, please forgive me for outing our information and our credit scores, but that is a conversation that I'm going to probably have this year or like soon with my partner about financial stability moving in, you know, it's credit scores and stuff like that, you know, like it's something if you live together you have to talk about. It was really interesting that you like kind of mentioned about like, even if it's a joke or not, I don't fucking care. Like a credit score on the first date, dude, it's honestly pretty important. Like I think of that and I'm like, bro, I like never talk about credit scores and shit unless it's with my friends. But like, dude, if this person like it's a long-term thing, or I'm gonna think about like, yo, you're gonna hit the like, are you gonna buy the hotel room? Are you gonna buy that fucking airplane ticket next? Bro, that's a normal conversation. That is a reoccurring conversation too. Like, goddamn, when do you? Here, let me point the right camera this time. When do you have that conversation? You can't see the cameras. I'm so sorry. When do you have that conversation, Jeannine?
Yeah, no, I'm imagining it, so don't worry. I'm like, camera 1, camera 2.
There's 3 cameras out here.
Oh, 3.
And a little screen. I'll show you the stream after. Don't worry. Just it's gonna cost you some money, maybe like $400, but don't worry.
It's okay. I got my Bitcoin.
Oh, Bitcoin, baby! You got that Dogecoin.
Yeah, we got that Dogecoin. I think that's how.
The Dogecoin. That's how you say it. The Doge. Fuck yeah.
The Dogecoin.
We're talking about the next episode because I need that space talk, dog.
Oh, we're gonna be here for a long time, but I'm ready. Let me know when.
All right. So go off, sister.
Yeah,
go off, sister, brother, sister, mother, daddy.
First of all, I bring up the credit score because it's actually very funny. I actually used to have a coworker, and I remember she would literally tell me straight up. She's like, I asked for credit scores on the first date. I need to know if they're stable, if they can commit to something. I'm like, oh snap, you're onto something here. But I think that the whole women empowerment, women's rights, feminism, and the wage gap and all of that are very early on conversations that I've had with partners in the past. And especially this last year, just because, you know, the tension of everything going on during the summer as well, I was very vocal from the beginning with letting, you know, the person I was dating at the time or whatever, like, look, like, this is what I'm about. Are we aligned or not? And I think the older you get, you realize how important it is to be aligned with somebody on those things. You know, it's not up for debate, period. You know, that's the way I see it. Like, some people think like, well, you know, it's one of those things that you shouldn't let it affect your personal relationship. No, I am, because
no, fuck that.
Yeah, I'm like,
it's gonna affect everything, dude. Like, if you're in debt, dude, it's gonna, your whole lifestyle changes, not just like wasting.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely,
you're struggling.
Absolutely, and I think that it's first to begin with, have those honest conversations about, you know, do you believe women should get paid equal to men? Because if you say no, I'm leaving right now.
Clock out of life.
Clock out of life. Second of all,
you're done.
Yeah, I think as we get more serious with somebody and a partner, I think I've never really, to be honest, shared my credit score with anyone. But I think that the way I've carried my...
This is your time. This is your chance. What is it? We're listening. What's your credit score? What's your mother's maiden name?
I think I don't know. It's
No, I'm kidding. Okay. It's definitely, it's about, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
it's 7, yeah.
Guys out there have to court me first before I give them that information.
Oh my God. Did you just say court? I have a perfect sound for that. I just added it today.
Let's hear it.
So if you want to court the great Jeannine, you need one of two things. One being, where's my little finger? 1, a credit score. 2, an entourage of dancing goblin. I don't fucking know what you like. I don't know. Space exploration and alien goblins.
It's always what you're doing. It's never I'm outside with your Tesla.
Yo, dude, I have a whole thing. I saw you think about like Elon Musk and shit. Like, I was like, yo, dude, fuck that guy, but Tesla, dude, he doesn't have operation. But dude, that's another episode about like clean energy and Tesla.
Oh yes, sign me up.
Fuck yeah. Oh, SpaceX fucks that guy, but SpaceX is great. My like fucking family members work there. Anyways, okay. Woo. So when you talk about this conversation with a significant other, it's never like you said, like, you don't mention credit score. You don't mention like those kind of like more personal facets of your finances. What do you talk about? Like, what are things that you feel like people need to open up about, be more honest about?
Most recently, been honest with the significant other about, you know, how much I make. Like, while we were dating, I was in the middle of getting a promotion, and I remember sending him like, you know, like the amount that I was getting promoted to. And for me, I feel very comfortable being that transparent because, you know, I felt like on the other side, there was that transparency too as well. And regardless whether, you know, he made more or I made more, like, I'm still going to offer to pay. That's just who I am. But I think it was...
Did he make more? Tell me the truth.
Yes.
Did he make less?
No, he made less. No, he made more. Of course he made more.
So he made less because he's a lesser being than you. That was the wrong answer. Come on. What the... Out of here.
Oh man, I should have given you a fake answer.
Yeah, you should.
We were in different industries, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's not even like something you can match, I guess. But yeah. And he's been, I think, working longer than I have.
Okay, yeah.
In career or whatever. But
in like that?
Yeah, that was like the first time I think that I had that open conversation with somebody about my salary. And I think it's because I just felt comfortable and there was that transparency. And also, you know, on their end, it was more like, wow, you got your shit together, you know?
Dang, yeah.
And
that's you know, like in a passive aggressive.
No. Like, I mean, I think it was meant as like, I think it was new to him to be in a situation where somebody had that much control over their finances. Like, don't get me wrong, a year ago, let's not talk about finances, because a year ago it was rough for a girl out there. I was living in LA, barely making any money. It was bad. But I think, you know, as you get older, you know, and you get into different situations, things get better. But yeah, I do think it's important to have those conversations, like not super early on. Like, I wouldn't on the first date ever ask somebody a financial question, because I guess it could come off as, unfortunately, because I'm a woman, as gold diggerish, you know?
I was thinking like you're like the IRS and you're trying to get me for tax evasion.
Yeah, I'm trying to serve somebody and I'm just like pretending to go on a date with them.
That's like a pyramid scheme. Imagine like IRS start doing like pyramid scheme shit. They're just like, oh, it's so nice to meet you. So what was your last, I see in 2019, you kind of took a break off of paying your tax. I mean, dating. So what about that? Yeah, dude, I would be a spy IRS agent. Fuck capitalism, but I like being doing spy shit.
Yeah,
I'd do that.
That would be freaking hilarious.
I would bust them all, baby, for the name of capitalism, and then I'll forgive their debts and then send them back.
Yep, that's how it works. But you know, I think going back to your question, definitely it's important, I think, to not super early on, but I think at some point, if you do see yourself becoming more serious with that person, and even talks about like, you know, moving in and building a future together, like you need to know where the other person stands, you know, financially. And not only that, I think also, how do they manage their finances? I think that's a big one too, because if it doesn't really align with you, then maybe building a future together might look difficult. Or, you know, like, let's say you're a big saver, like you love saving money because one day you want to buy a house, and your partner is a spender and says, I don't save any money, but I do maybe want to buy a house in the future. So you have to start asking yourself, well, how does that work? Because we need two incomes.
No, you do know that's absolutely true, because when you're combining your finances, especially like if you're thinking about marriage or engagement or anything, so you have to think about that aspect. And then regarding, I guess, the broader sphere of relationships or circumstances within relationships, if they're maybe an educator and they have tenure, if they work for the government entity or a corporation that provides healthcare in some way, there's just certain things that you could kind of be more flexible about, or you would have the opportunity to be, I guess, more frugal, or have to be more frugal with your money. And then there's another aspect about if you're thinking about my bad. Oh, that's problematic. If you're considering continuing a future with someone that is on disability and you get married, you could only make a certain amount before that disability ends. And that's a plethora of bills of uneasiness and uncomfortability of where that's going to lead in the future. Since this is already stigmatized as a taboo subject, a topic with partners, I feel like that doesn't come up. And when that happens, that just brings up on people to, you know, like mid-engagement, or like when they're committing to each other, whether that be moving in, whether that be starting a family or settling down somewhere, or just traveling, or just being spontaneous and shit, you know, that just randomly pops out because that conversation is not had. It is not a prior conversation. And there's also like no check-ins. And like, hey, like, I know you have this job, and like, I know you've been doing it, we've been comfortable, but like, are you going, like, have you been getting a promotion? Like, are you going somewhere with the company? As bad as that sounds, are you going somewhere? Like, are you growing in this opportunity? Like, you know, checking in, just knowing that you love this person, you love this relationship, so you want to grow with it, but you want them to grow too.
Absolutely.
Financially too, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I think you make a great point. Like, you have to be honest. And to be honest, if like, my partner ever came to me with those questions, for me, it's like, whoa, like he's serious. Like, I like this. And you have to take the initiative. But I know that it's sometimes a hard topic for a lot of couples to discuss because, well, like we just started dating, or we're just dating. We're not sure where it's going to go. Yeah. You know, why do I need to stress about this? But it's not more stressing. It's just, for some people, those things are important. Like, I see my future with you, but if you have outstanding debt, or just things you need to take care of, like you need to take care of those things, you know? I love you, but I also I think it's very unfair to marry somebody or, get with somebody a little bit more serious and have somebody carry your baggage, or like the opposite, have them put their baggage onto you. I think that's also, could be very unfair. So it's important to have those conversations, I guess, prior.
The symbolism of like intertwining two people is not, through marriage and through marriage, not just a spiritual or emotional or mental thing or physical in many ways, but it's literally just a financial state too. And that's the thing, like it's combining credit scores where like you might be in debt because this person's in debt and they're like, oh yeah, dog. So that Tesla I was driving, that's a lease for about like 286 months. So like, I don't know, dude. Like, it's going to be like really tricky to navigate that. And that's going to hopefully not. But like, if you're in that circumstance, like build tension, because that's like a whole thing. It's like, yo, what the fuck, dude? You're this much debt. And everyone's in debt to something, but like, you're in this much debt, dude. Like, holy shit.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that even could change the dynamic of the relationship. Like a lot of, I think, problems in couples end up stemming from financial reasons. Yeah.
Whether it be like not being able to like the whole dinner dynamic thing, like I think it stems from that. Like that's one issue. And that fights the thought of like uncertainty of like, hey, like if they're not like, there's no equity in this, or if there's no back and forth with this, like, are they okay financially? Like, I don't fucking know what they do for work, really, how much they get paid. It's not a conversation. I just know they're able to go out every week. So I mean, I don't ask beyond that, but like, why not?
Yeah. Yeah. You know what? I think you bring up also another great point. I think the reason why I will always on the first date or even the second or third, or even when I'm dating somebody, I will always offer to pay, because I think that's me making my statement. Like, I am financially okay, to like.
Oh, so you're trying to flex on them. I see how it is. Okay.
But no, I guess subconsciously that's why I do it. It's to make a statement that like, I don't expect to be taken care of. And that's just me personally. I think now that you brought that up, it like triggered a little berserk in my head where I'm like, oh, do you have a noise for that?
Okay. Dang, dude. I have a bunch of noises. All right. So we got this noise. All right. Let's just play all the chaos here. I'm going to play all this. Oh my God. Okay, let me do two more. Where are the sounds I don't make a lot? Oh my God, there's so many.
Like sounds. A boing.
Oh, a boing sound? Okay, wait, I think I just added one. Hold on, oh my God, do I not have a boing? I don't have a boing sound. I'll make it with my mouth. That's not a boing, but whatever. I have like, what's it called? Like strings breaking, where it's like a hillbilly sound. And then there's a horse, and then, listen up, there's like, all right, you do your thing. And then there's the banjo strings that break because you think this relationship's going so well. Oh, it doesn't. Break the strings. There it is. That's what that sounds for. Anyway.
Yeah, no. So yeah, there's something that triggered in my head where I'm like, yeah, I guess the reason why I feel like the need, or just like without being asked, I want to do this, is because I want to make the statement that I am okay, And I think that gives other person the idea that, oh, okay, like they can take care of themselves, or in this because they generally want to be with me or get to know me.
Responsible and mature in that way, like financially mature and also financially literate. And that's the other thing. I guess like, oh, no problem. It's no problem. I don't even have a train. I just have the Thotty train, Thotty Express, Polar Express. Tom Hanks is just going off and it's just on fire, going into derailing itself into the North Pole, causing greenhouse gases to emit from that train and coal and everything. And they're like, oh, we should have got a nuclear train. And that nuclear train does not exist anymore because they're trying to transition from nuclear energy into renewable.
And all this while the Fast and Furious song playing in the background, the one I'm talking about?
You fucking know. I was going to play that too. I was going to add that. I knew I should have added that to my panel because I was like, yo, dude, this, I mean, Jeannine's fast. Like, it's just furious, but like too fast, too fierce. Nah, you literally made the reference too.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. I swear to God. For next time. We'll leave it for next time.
Next time, yeah. But speaking of, let's wrap this up in a cute little Chipotle burrito and call it a day. Really quick, referencing your mom. Hello, mother. Hello, wherever you are out there. I'm glad you reapparated into a ghost spirit apparition, visited Jeannine, and then exited the bunker. That was very nice of her. When do you have this conversation now, as an adult, further into your adult life, at the crisp age of 87? When do you talk about this with your parents? Because I know when we were little niños and niñas and ninis, they were our finances. They were our literal, bridge to that financial world. And when you kind of grew into independence, when do you kind of stop having that conversation? And do you bring up that conversation now? Do you kind of like, does it kind of like not exist anymore? Or like what is your relationship with that conversation with your parents?
my mom supported me up until I left for college. And even during college, you know, she would help here and there where she could. But honestly, financially, I learned a lot from my mom. She ended up being a single mother, and I saw her, you know, struggle. But I also saw the reason she was able to make it through and make ends meet was because she was such a big saver. Like, she saved like there was no tomorrow. And that taught me and my sister how to be responsible with money, I guess you can say. So my relationship with money is very much so like, yeah, I shop and splurge here and there when I can, but for the most part, my biggest concern is always saving. And I think, yeah, and I think I inherited that from my mother. You know, she taught us to save money because you never know when things get difficult. Now, on the same coin, the same side of the coin, it also kind of makes my relationship with money a little tense in the way that I sometimes almost feel bad for treating myself.
Oh, we are two different Taurus.
Yeah, I know. You're when you tell me like I love the finer things in life, but you know what? I have learned to splurge a little bit more now that, you know, I have the accessibility to. But yeah, it's I could never buy like a $300 shirt or jacket or anything for myself. I feel like I don't have that relationship with money where I can do that. But I do have those conversations with my mother still. Like throughout college, you know, I was able to take care of myself and provide, and now out of college, I'm okay. Going through the jobs that I've been through, like working through school and stuff like that. I remember, you know, always looking for a better opportunity. Even though I was a college student, I'm like, I need a job that pays me more.
Oh, you're worth. Fuck yeah.
Even though, you know, like I'm only working part-time, like I still need a job that can sustain me. I remember having these conversations with my mom. Like I was working at a grocery store and I was just fed up. Like I was ready to throw in the towel, like, you know, and I kind of had a job lined up on campus, but I hadn't heard a official yes yet. So I remember walking into that grocery store that day and I called my mom. I'm like, I'm going to quit. I don't care. I'm going to quit today. I can't do this anymore. She's like, no, like you should stay there. Like you don't have a backup yet, you know, very much like not risk taking whatsoever. And I was like, I'm sorry, Mom, but I'm going to quit. And I quit that day.
Yeah, fuck that. Oh, you did. Oh, dude, that is so. I was so scared from that, but like, that takes so much like confidence and like so. Oh, dude, I admire that because I can't fucking do that,
dude.
That's. Scary.
I was so. I think at my breaking point, that's what it was. Where I was overworked, and I was also like going to school full time, and yeah, it was just not working for me. And even though I had not heard back from the campus that I was going to get the job, I was like, it's a risk I'm willing to take. And I quit. And I'm not kidding you. Literally the day later, they called me back from the job I wanted. Like that I got the job. So it was a little risky, but I would say that I was happy how it turned out because I ended up in a better opportunity. And I think that sometimes our parents maybe do not understand like the risk-taking factor because, you know, I feel like because they've already risked so much, they're like, why risk, you know, if you can stay there. But I think the other components that are not understood are, you know, my mental health is my priority. And, you know, if I'm not happy in one place, I'm just not happy anymore. And you have to be able to realize that and get yourself out of that environment. And luckily I was able to. But yeah, the conversations I have with my parents is basically like, if I'm not happy here, I'm going to leave, you know, like, yes, I know that money is a big factor, but I'm like, I luckily, you know, am going to make the smartest move that's for myself just because, you know, you just have to be able to leave situations when you're not comfortable in them anymore.
Especially if you're not like growing in it. It's like, if you like are drained, that's like the literal opposite of growth. Like you're just like, you're like turning into a fucking raisin, not even a good raisin. Right? You're just like a fucking, I don't know.
Like the ones that nobody likes to eat.
Yeah, like raisin bran. I mean, some people like raisin bran and shit like that. Right,
I like raisin bran.
Yeah, well, fuck you and your opinions. That's why you're on this podcast. What the? Why do you like that? That's gross. No, they're they don't slap, but like they're.
What's your favorite cereal?
Bro, we had this or not like us, but like I had this conversation recently. Damn, that's a hard one. My favorite cereal. Man, well, I was talking about honeycomb. Remember those honeycomb shits? Honeycomb fucking with the weird abstract backs, and they're really weird.
That's a blast from the past.
Yo, I know, right? And like Flintstones and shit like that. All right, anyway, so it's gonna be I don't know, dude. It's gonna have to be Cocoa Puffs or something, or like, dude, just Cheerios, straight up. Just be healthy. I want to live forever.
Those Honey Nut Cheerios with 30 grams of sugar are sure gonna help me.
Oh, they are you kidding me? They're gonna send me right to coma, baby. Nice.
Nice.
It was really impactful how you mentioned like the difference with way back about like being frugal, being spending, and then like that having that weight on you still, then having that lead you to knowing more of the value of money, like what it means, the way of the impact it's going to have on your life. And if something is outweighed that income, like regarding like your job at the store, if that is like not even matching up, like even if you're making like what $50 an hour for that experience, it is not worth the draining experience you would have had. And that's kind of like, even though that's an extreme example, even if you're getting paid what you think you're worth, if that experience is just a fucking the worst shit ever, it's just like your dream job, like in Discretion, but the worst concept and the worst thing to wake up to, then it's just like, yo, you gotta fucking dip. You gotta pull G9 and get the fuck out of there. Whip out. Easy. Drift out.
Oh yeah, it's definitely not worth it. I will say that. I think it's very easy for us to get comfortable, you know, where we're at sometimes, and it's just easier to complain than to take action. But I think, and you know, we all do it. Like, there's nobody that doesn't, you know. But I think at some point you have to be, again, conversation comes back to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Am I happy here? No. Okay, what am I going to do to change it then? You know, having like an action plan, because I think it's we're not respecting ourselves or loving ourselves by keeping ourselves in environments that no longer serve us and that make us unhappy.
I feel like that's like the trend of like our 20s, you know, like even 30s, right? I mean, like maybe that's the trend of life, like just finding out if we're comfortable somewhere, if we're our worth, trying to figure out like where we can find our footing somewhere, where we can find our placement within the cogs of the wheel of capitalism, or if we're going beyond that, if we're actually going to fucking grow in our experience and like, you know, like grow into inviting more people that are like-minded and if influential to our projects and to our gear, and to finally get that sort of equity in our life. Like, and it starts in where the fuck you get money from. Like, what makes you live? Money. As horrible as that sounds. Oh, money, baby. Hold on. Oh, money is where the source of life comes from, literally, because if we were communists, it wouldn't matter. But for now, that's where it comes from. So like comfortability in life.
Hey, but Bitcoin.
Yo, but I know you got that Bitcoin going. I know. Yes! I see you, brother, sister, mother, daddy, father, sister, son, whatever it is. Yeah. Jeannine, it was a blessing. It was a privilege. It was an honor to talk to you today. Tonight. I don't fucking know what time it is. But before this bunker closes and we all die probably from this nuclear blast and the bad breath I've been exhaling. Well, do you have anything to plug? If you have anything to shout out, anyone you want to talk to, anything you want to say before we die?
Yeah, I definitely have a couple things to say before we die. One, ladies in disappointment. Gents. Always know your worth. You know, like always fight for what you believe you are worth. Never be afraid to negotiate. Like that's just my advice to everybody. Like, you know, I think you might be in certain situations where you can't, but never feel bad for asking for more. If you're worth it, then you're worth it. Ladies, especially out there, you know, Women's Month. Yeah, definitely speak out, you know, always speak out for what you believe in. And yeah, shout out to all the baddies out there that are listening.
Ooh, baddies.
And to everyone who tunes in. And yeah, follow me on Instagram for some fun pics and snaps and memes. My Instagram is @Jeannine Aguilar. I will not give you my Twitter handle because I'm private for a reason now.
Oh yeah, get out of there.
Get out of there. But you can follow me on Instagram.
Get out of that shit.
And you know, for all you young professionals out there, you can find me on LinkedIn too, Jeannine Aguilar.
Oh yeah.
Let's plug in the LinkedIn.
Oh my God, plug in that, yeah.
But thank you so much, Paul, for having me. It's always a pleasure. I'm glad we did this. It's almost like a year that we first did our podcast.
Oh my God, yeah. It's like, oh my God, the Paniversary is here, everyone. Oh my God, that's the worst thing ever. Oh my God, I hate that concept of that. But anyways, God. All right, well, I'm going to, I already closed the bunker, so I don't know what to do. I'm going to end these streams, baby. You heard it here, folks. I'm pointing to this camera now. There it is. You heard it here, folks. That was Jeannine. I didn't hear it. I had her on mute the whole time, so we're going to see where this goes. I guess the audio is breaking up on every single stream except on the podcast. So that means you have to be a Patreon contributor to listen to this podcast. And then you don't have to be a Patreon contributor because I don't believe in that. Kind of like giving me money for something that's already going to be publicly aired. But you can give me money if you'd like. Like 4 cents would be cool. But anyways, yes, this episode's going to be.
Run us our money.
Please, I want to fuel the money for this Tesla that I need to get Jeannine. So please, I am begging you. I am indebted for. Fuck. Okay. Anyways, yeah. All right. I'm going to end the stream. Goodbye, everyone.